You think she is pulling away because she doesn't love you. That's the lie your mind feeds you when you don't understand the truth. The reality is far more complicated, far more brutal, and far more revealing. The moment her emotions for you become undeniable, the moment she realizes she feels something she cannot control, is the exact moment she steps back. That withdrawal isn't about disinterest. It's about intensity. It's about fear. It's about the terrifying vulnerability that love forces onto a person who thought they had control of their world. Love isn't soft and predictable like the stories you've been told. It doesn't just fill the heart with warmth. It cracks it open, leaving raw nerves exposed. When someone truly loves, they stand on the edge of potential ecstasy, but also on the brink of devastation. And that edge is sharp. The closer she gets to you, the more she risks falling into the unknown. That unknown is rejection. That unknown is surrender. That unknown is letting someone else hold power over her happiness, her stability, even her sense of self. That is not something anyone takes lightly. And that is why the instinct to pull away comes at the very peak of love. Think about what this means. If she felt nothing, she would need distance. If you did matter, there would be no fear. Pulling away is not the move of indifference. It's the reflex of someone overwhelmed by the weight of what they feel. It's her attempt to breathe when emotions threaten to drown her. It's her way of protecting herself from being consumed. And unless you understand that, unless you can see past the surface, you will make the fatal mistake of treating her space as rejection. Here's the part that most men never grasp. The stronger her love, the more vulnerable she feels. The deeper her connection, the more terrifying the thought of loss becomes. Love exposes the soul. It takes away the shields she's built her whole life. Suddenly, the person who seemed strong and untouchable becomes fragile, not because she's weak, but because she's risking everything: you, her heart, her future. That's not a casual gamble. That's a war inside her mind. And when that war rages, her instinct is to retreat, not to abandon you, but to protect herself from drowning in what feels too big to control. But here's where the harsh truth cuts through. Most men ruin everything at this point. The second she steps back, they panic. They chase harder. They beg. They pressure. They demand explanation. They confuse her need for space with a lack of interest, and the desperation confirms her fears. Instead of proving strength, they reveal insecurity. Instead of standing firm, they crumble. And when that happens, she does just pull away. She starts questioning whether she misjudged everything about you. You need to hear this with no sugarcoating. Love does test her first. It tests you. The moment she withdraws is the moment your strength gets exposed. Are you steady enough to hold your ground? Or will you break at the first sign of distance? Can you recognize that her retreat isn't the end, but proof of the depth of her feelings? Or will you interpret everything through your fear of abandonment and throw away the very thing she's trying to process? Pulling away is not abandonment. It's recalibration. It's her way of finding her balance before diving deeper. And if you can handle that, if you can stand steady in the middle of that storm, then you were never ready for the weight of real love in the first place. The brutal reality is this: she's not stepping back because you don't matter. She's stepping back because you matter more than anyone else. And the question isn't why is she pulling away? The real question is, are you strong enough to handle it when she does? You need to face the truth. Women don't pull away when they are bored. They don't pull away when they are done. And they don't pull away when they've lost interest. They pull away when the feelings are so powerful, so undeniable, and so consuming that they scare the life out of them. Love at its rawest level isn't gentle. It doesn't knock politely on the door of the heart. It storms in. It shakes the foundation. It forces open doors she thought she had locked forever. And in that chaos, the instinct is not always to lean in closer. It's often to step back and try to regain control. This is where you need to wake up. Love is just candlelight and laughter. Love is intensity, it's raw energy. It is the fire that melts her defenses and makes her vulnerable in ways she never expected. And when a woman feels that level of emotion, her world spins. It's not that she doubts her feelings for you. It is that those feelings are so strong, they threaten her sense of control. That's why she retreats, not because she's slipping away, but because she's overwhelmed by just how much she's been pulled in. You may not realize this, But the human instinct when faced with something overwhelming is often to retreat, to create space, to slow down before being consumed. Think about it. When emotions hit like a tidal wave, who would gasp for air? Pulling away isn't about you failing. It is about her needing room to process. It is about her needing time to make peace with the fact that she has handed someone else the power to hurt her, the power to shape her world. And that's not easy for anyone, no matter how strong they seem on the surface. Here is the brutal truth. Most men misread this moment. They see distance and immediately assume rejection. They take her silence as disinterest, and their response is to chase, to panic, to plead for reassurance. And in doing so, they don't calm her fears, they amplify them. Instead of showing stability, they show fragility. Instead of projecting strength, they expose insecurity. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who collapses the moment things don't go his way. You have to understand something most people will never tell you. Love is not designed to make you comfortable. It's designed to test you. It tests how much control you have over yourself, how much certainty you carry within your own skin. When she pulls away, it's not a sign you've lost her, it's an opportunity to prove whether you are worthy of what she's feeling. Because if her love shakes her to the core, she needs to know you are solid enough to hold steady when she isn't. Let that sink in. The deeper her love, the greater her fear. The more she cares, the more she feels exposed. That fear does come from weakness. It comes from understanding how much is at stake. You are no longer just another person in her life. You've become the person with the power to break her heart. You've become the person who can change her future. And when someone realizes that, their mind does celebrate, it trembles. That trembling is why she steps back. That trembling is why she suddenly creates distance. Here's the harsh reality most men never accept. Women don't pull away because they want less. They pull away because they've never wanted more. That kind of desire is terrifying, and it takes time to process. If you can't respect that, if you can't hold your own when she withdraws, then you're not built for the intensity of what she is giving you. Real love requires a backbone. Real love requires patience without panic. Real love requires you to stop making her fear about you and start proving your strength in silence. The shift you need to make in your mind is simple but powerful. Stop seeing distance as rejection and start seeing it as proof of depth. Stop treating her retreat as abandonment and start treating it as the natural rhythm of deep connection. If you master that shift, you stop being the man who collapses under pressure and start being the man who can handle love in its truest form. Because here, as the reality you can escape, when she pulls away, she's not walking out of your life. She's testing the ground beneath her own feet. And if she comes back and finds you still standing strong, still steady, still unshaken, her love for you done. Weaken it multiplies. Here, as the part no one tells you, the part that most men never see until it is too late. The stronger her feelings, the more she fears losing control. She isn't afraid of you. She isn't afraid of the relationship. She's afraid of what you awaken inside her. That depth, that fire, that gravity. It's overwhelming, and when a woman feels that intensity, her instinct is to step back, not because she wants less, but because she does know how to handle more. This is where most men get it completely wrong. They assume that distance equals disinterest. They assume her step back means her feelings are fading. But the opposite is often true. The retreat is a sign that the connection is no longer casual. It's real. It's undeniable. It's shaking her sense of control. And for someone who has fought hard to protect herself, who has built walls against disappointment, heartbreak, or betrayal, that kind of vulnerability feels dangerous. So she creates space to regain balance. Not because she doubts the love, but because she is consumed by it. Let's be brutally honest. Love isn't neat. It isn't clean. It's messy. It breaks open the parts of us we've buried. And when a woman feels it so strongly she can hide from it, she pulls away to test her own strength. She needs to know if she can stand on her own before she completely surrenders. Because here, as the truth, the deeper the connection, the more terrifying the thought of losing it becomes. She may be more afraid of losing you than you are of losing her. That fear isn't rejection. It's proof of how much you matter. You have to stop taking this personally. Her pulling away is not about your worth. It's not about her losing attraction. It's not about her finding someone else. It's about the war going on inside her. One side wants to dive headfirst, to give in fully to what she feels. The other side screams for protection, for caution, for control. That conflict can make her distant, it can make her hesitant, it can make her retreat. But none of that means her feelings aren't real. In fact, the conflict only exists because her feelings are real. If she did care, there would be no battle. Here, there's a harsh truth you need to face. If you can handle her fear, if you can stand firm when she withdraws, you don't deserve her love. Because love is just about enjoying the closeness. It about surviving the distance. It about proving you can handle her at her strongest and her most vulnerable. And if you crumble every time she pulls back, you show her you can carry the weight of what she's giving you. Think about it this way. When she pulls away, she's not testing whether you will chase. She's testing whether you will stand. She's testing whether your emotions run wild the second she steps back, or whether you can hold your ground with calm certainty. She needs to see if you are strong enough to withstand the storm her love creates. Because if her love consumes her, and you collapse in the process, she loses not just her stability but her trust in you. This is why so many men lose women they thought they had forever. They misread distance as disinterest. They panic. They overcompensate. They chase harder. They smother. And in doing so, they confirm her worst fear that the connection is too unstable, too fragile, too weak to hold her weight. And once that fear is confirmed, she pulls away for good. Not because she wanted to, but because you proved she could. To lean on you when it mattered most. You need to flip the way you think about her retreat. Stop seeing it as a wall and start seeing it as proof of depth. Stop interpreting it as her leaving and start interpreting it as her trying to survive the fire of her own emotions. When she feels overwhelmed, she does need a man who panics. She needs a man who remains steady, who does let fear dictate his response, who does collapse under the weight of uncertainty. The kind of man she can trust. That's the kind of man she can surrender to fully. So understand this. When she pulls away, she's not rejecting you. She's showing you just how much you matter. And the question isn't whether she still loves you. The question is whether you can stand still, strong, and grounded while she finds her way back through the storm of her own emotions. Because if you can, her pullback to break the connection, it will make it unshakable. But here is where most men screw up. And this is the point where everything starts to collapse. The moment she takes a step back, the average man panics. He feels the space, he feels the silence, and instead of holding his ground, he reacts with desperation. He starts chasing harder, calling more, questioning more, trying to close the gap with force. And that is the fastest way to destroy everything. Because when she pulls away, and you smother her in panic, you confirm the very fear that made her step back in the first place. You prove you are not strong enough to handle her at full intensity. Let's not sugarcoat it. Desperation is weakness. It screams insecurity. It tells her that the foundation of your connection is fragile, that your sense of value depends on her constant validation. And nothing suffocates love faster than the weight of neediness. When you make her retreat about your own fear, you strip her of the space she needs to breathe. You turn her instinctive pause into a battlefield, forcing her to fight not only her emotions but your collapse as well. And that's when she starts questioning if the connection is worth it. The brutal truth is this. If she has to manage her own overwhelming emotion and also carry your insecurity at the same time, she will eventually walk away, not because she doesn't love you, but because she realizes you are too weak to stand beside her when it matters most. She doesn't want to mother you. She doesn't want to reassure you like a child. She wants to feel that you are unshakable, that you can handle the storm, that you can remain steady when she cannot. And the second you lose that steadiness, you lose her trust. Think about what is really happening here. When she steps back, she is not rejecting you. She is recalibrating. She is processing. She is finding balance inside herself, so she can love you deeper without losing herself in the process. That retreat is not the end. It is part of the rhythm of real intimacy. But if you interfere with it, if you suffocate it, if you try to force closeness at the very moment she needs distance, you ruin everything. You turn a natural cycle into a breaking point. Here is what you need to face. Her space is not a threat. It a test not of her feelings but of yours. Can you handle the silence without collapsing? Can you stay grounded when she's not feeding you constant reassurance? Can you let her move through her own emotions without making it about your insecurity? If you can, she comes back stronger, closer, more devoted. If you can, she starts to see you as another man who can, handle depth, another man who mistakes neediness for love, another man who folds under pressure. And here is the part that should hit you hard. The more you chase in panic, the more she runs. The more you try to force her closeness, the more suffocated she feels. The more you demand answers, the more she questions the connection itself. You can't pull someone closer by gripping tighter. You only make them fight harder to escape. The irony is brutal. By trying to hold on, you push her further away. You have to flip the script. When she steps back, you don't move forward in desperation, you stay still in strength. You don't smother, you breathe. You don't panic, you remain calm. You let her feel the safety of knowing that her emotions, her retreat, her silence don't unravel you. That's the proof she needs. That's the reassurance she won't ask for but desperately looks for. She does want to see you chase. She wants to see you endure. Understand this clearly. Love is not measured by how much you panic when she pulls away. Love is measured by how strong you remain in the face of uncertainty. If you crumble, you fail the test. If you stand tall, you win her trust. And trust is the foundation of devotion. So the next time she pulls away, don't smother her with neediness. Don't collapse into panic. Don't chase like you, trying to convince her to stay. Let her go through her process. Let her breathe. And when she looks back to see if you're still there, still steady, still strong, she won't just return. She'll return with a love deeper than before. Shocking truth. Love does test her. It tests you. You think her pulling away is about her uncertainty, her confusion, or her lack of commitment. It isn't. It's about your strength. It's about whether you can withstand the pressure of real intimacy. Because anyone can handle love when it is easy, when it is constant affection, constant attention, constant reassurance. That's simple, that's comfortable. But love is meant to be comfortable. It is meant to expose you. And when she retreats, even for a moment, that's when the mask gets ripped off. That's when the truth about you is revealed. This is where men separate themselves. The weak panic. They chase. They beg. They demand. They lose themselves in her distance and collapse into insecurity. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle the uncertainty. They can't handle the possibility that she is glued to them every second of the day. And when they collapse, they fail. Because what she's looking for in those moments is a man who needs her constant closeness to feel strong. She is looking for a man who doesn't lose himself when she pulls away. She looking for a man who is grounded enough to stay whole even when she's not standing right beside him. Think about this carefully. If you only feel powerful when she's pouring love into you, if you only feel secure when she's close, if you only feel steady when she's giving you her attention, you are not strong, you are dependent. And dependence is weakness disguised as love. That weakness does inspire devotion, it drains it. It convinces her that you are not capable of carrying the weight of real connection. Because if you crumble at distance, how will you survive the storms that life inevitably throws at you? Here is the paradox you need to accept. The moment she pulls away is not the moment you've lost her. It is the moment she gives you the chance to prove yourself. To prove you, not just another man who needs hand-holding. To prove you can remain unshaken when she fighting her own battles. To prove your love isn't about constant reassurance, but about stability, resilience, and strength. This is why love tests you harder than it tests her. It doesn't matter how charming you are when she's close. It doesn't matter how sweet you are when things are smooth. What matters is who you are when she retreats. Do you unravel? Do you chase? Do you drown in your own need for validation? Or do you remain centered, calm, and confident, knowing her space does to diminish her love? That's the difference between a man who loses her and a man who earns her trust forever. Harsh reality. If you can handle her pulling away, you don't deserve her coming back, because her distance isn't designed to punish you, it's designed to reveal you. And what it reveals will either destroy attraction or build unshakable devotion. She wants to see if you are steady enough to hold her at her most intense. She wants to know if you can handle her vulnerability without becoming weak yourself. If you fail here, you fail everywhere else. This is the uncomfortable part no one tells you. Sometimes her step back is the best thing that could happen to you. It strips away the illusions. It forces you to confront yourself. It reveals whether your confidence is real or just borrowed from her affection. It shows whether you are capable of standing strong on your own, or whether you crumble without her constant closeness. That's the brutal clarity of love. Does T flatter you? It exposes you. So here's the mindset shift you need. Stop seeing her distance as rejection, and start seeing it as the proving ground of your strength. Stop asking, why is she doing this to me? And start asking, what does this reveal about me? Because if her pulling away breaks you, then you were never built to handle her love in the first place. But if you remain solid, if you refuse to panic, if you keep living, moving, and thriving without chasing, she sees it, she feels it, and that calm certainty becomes the anchor that pulls her back with even more intensity. The truth is simple, even if it's harsh. Her retreat does test the love she has for you. It tests the man you really are, and whether you realize it or not, that test will determine everything. You have to understand this with absolute clarity. Distance is not absence, and pulling away is not abandonment. It is recalibration. It is the reset button that allows emotions to stabilize before they consume everything. The stronger the love, the more intense the need for space can become. She is not leaving you behind. She is finding herself again so she can return with more to give. And if you mistake that for rejection, if you panic and sabotage the process, you rob both of you of what could have grown stronger from it. Love is not a straight line. It isn't constant closeness, constant reassurance, constant perfection. It has rhythm, it expands and contracts. It moves like the tide, sometimes crashing forward, sometimes pulling back. That retreat is not proof of fading love. It proof of love that is so deep, it needs air to breathe. When she steps back, it's not because she doesn't want you, it's because she wants to avoid losing herself in the flood of emotions that threaten to take control. Think about the intensity she feels. Every time she opens herself to you, she lowers defenses that protected her for years. Every moment of closeness strips away another layer of the walls she built. And while that is beautiful, it's also terrifying, because the deeper she lets you in, the more she realizes how much power you have over her. Power to make her happy beyond measure, but also power to break her in ways she's never been broken before. That awareness alone is enough to make her step back and catch her breath. But here's where most men fail. They take her retreat as a verdict. They treat her pause as a decision. They interpret distance as the death of love. And because of that belief, they react in ways that destroy trust. They get angry. They demand answers. They pressure her to explain what she can, to yet explain herself. They make her feel guilty for needing space, when all she really needs is understanding. And in doing so, they turn what could have been a moment of strength into a breaking point. You need to face the truth. She is not pulling away because she wants someone else. She's not pulling away because she doesn't love you. She is pulling away because she loves you so much. She needs to find her footing again. She needs to ground herself so she can come back with even more clarity, even more devotion. But if you treat her retreat as betrayal, you confirm her fear that maybe you are not strong enough to handle the depth of her feelings. Here's the brutal reality. Love will never belong to the man who panics. It will always belong to the man who understands the rhythm, the push and pull, the expansion and contraction. The man who knows that closeness is not proof of devotion, and that distance is not proof of rejection. The man who trusts the process enough to let her breathe without trying to control her every move. That's the man she will trust. That is the man she will surrender to. So the shift you need to make is this. Stop equating distance with danger. Stop assuming that space equals loss. Start understanding that the retreat is part of the process of love at its deepest levels. Instead of panicking when she steps back, see it for what it is, proof of how strongly she feels. Because if she didn't feel much, she would need to recalibrate. If you did matter, she would need distance. Pulling away is about you being unimportant. It's about you being too important for her to process all at once. And here is the paradox that should hit you hard. The more calmly you handle her retreat, the faster she comes back. The less you chase, the more she feels safe returning. The more you respect her space, the more she trusts you with her closeness. When she knows you collapse without her constant presence, she feels free to give herself to you fully. Your strength in her absence is the very thing that deepens her presence when she returns. So let this truth burn into your mind. Distance is not the end. It's the space where trust is built, where strength is revealed, where love is tested and proven. If you can master yourself in those moments, you don't just keep her love you. Earn it at a level most men will never experience. Harsh reality. If you punish her for pulling away, you prove you are unworthy of her depth. If you collapse emotionally, you show her that your strength was only an illusion, built on the comfort of her closeness instead of the power within yourself. Anyone can appear confident when love feels easy, when attention is constant, when intimacy is flowing without interruption. But the real test of your character isn't how you handle her closeness, it's how you handle her distance. And if you can't hold your ground in the face of her retreat, you expose yourself as weak. Think about it clearly. When she steps back, she's watching. She's not just sorting through her own emotions. She's also observing yours. She wants to see whether you lose yourself without her. She wants to see if you beg, if you panic, if you unravel. Because if her absence breaks you, then her presence was never safe. A woman cannot trust a man who falls apart when she withdraws. She cannot surrender fully to someone who collapses when he is constantly fed attention. That kind of fragility makes her feel trapped, not cherished. This is where most men destroy everything. They turn her step back into a war. They sulk. They lash out. They guilt trip her with lines like, "Why are you acting this way?" Or, "Do you even care anymore?" They drown her in questions, accusations, and emotional pressure. And in doing so, they confirm her worst fear, that her love has placed her in the hands of someone too weak to carry it. That every time she feels overwhelmed, she will also be forced to manage his breakdown. That is not love. That is emotional suffocation. You need to face this truth. If you punish her for needing space, you destroy the very reason she loved you in the first place. She didn't choose you because you begged for attention. She didn't fall for you because you panicked at silence. She chose you because you represented strength, stability, a man who could anchor her in the middle of chaos. If you reveal yourself to be another fragile man who needs constant reassurance, you lose the essence of what attracted her. And once that respect is gone, it's nearly impossible to recover. Let's be brutally clear. Love does die when she pulls away. Love dies when your reaction to her distance exposes weakness instead of strength. When you spiral, when you beg, when you collapse, you are not showing her love you, you're showing her dependency. And dependency is poison. It drains attraction, it suffocates passion, it turns desire into obligation. A woman does want to feel obligated to reassure you every time she breathes differently. She wants to feel the freedom to move through her emotions without fearing you will collapse in response. The truth you must accept is this. Her pullback is not the moment to demand more. It is the moment to prove you need less. The moment to show that you are whole, that you are stable, that your world does shatter when she takes a step back. That's the kind of strength that multiplies her attraction. That is the kind of energy that makes her feel safe returning with even more intensity. Because deep down, every woman wants to know that the man she loves is not only capable of receiving her closeness, but also capable of surviving her distance. So stop punishing her when she pulls away. Stop treating her retreat like betrayal. Stop reacting like her love is slipping through your fingers. If she did care, she would retreat at all. She'd simply walk away. Her distance is not the end. It's the fire that forges your strength. And how you handle it determines everything. The mindset shift is simple but brutal. If you remain calm, patient, and grounded, when she retreats, she will come back with 10 times more devotion. If you punish, panic, or pressure her, you don't just push her away, you prove you were never strong enough to deserve her love in the first place. Every time she pulls away, your reaction is either building her trust or tearing it apart. There is no middle ground. You may think your words don't matter, that your tone does matter, that your silence does matter, but every move you make in those moments is magnified. She is looking at you with sharper eyes than ever before, and what she sees will decide how deeply she can allow herself to love you. Understand this. When a woman loves deeply, she is just giving her heart. She is risking everything she is built inside. Her guard, her independence, her control, all of it gets shaken. So when she steps back, she, searching for proof that you can hold steady while she rebalances herself. She is testing whether your love is strong enough to carry weight, not just in moments of passion but in moments of silence. If you fail here, the cost is massive, not because she stops caring, but because she stops feeling safe. And once safety disappears, love unravels faster than you can imagine. The harsh truth you need to face is this: love isn't lost because of her distance. Love is lost because of your inability to respect that distance. Men kill love not by being absent, but by being overbearing. Not by saying too little, but by saying too much. Not by being strong in silence, but by being weak in noise. They fill the space with panic, accusations, and desperate attempts to pull her back. And every one of those actions tells her the same story: you are not a man she can truly rely on. The paradox is brutal but undeniable. The less you demand, the more she gives. The calmer you remain, the more freely she returns. The less you chase, the faster she comes back. It's not a game, it's not manipulation, it's simply how love breathes. If she feels like she cannot step back without being punished, she will eventually stop stepping forward too. She will protect herself, wall herself off, and slowly detach from you to preserve her sanity. That is how men lose women they thought they had forever. Not through one big mistake, but through a pattern of weakness every time distance appeared. Here, as the mindset shift that changes everything. Stop asking, why is she pulling away? And start asking, how can I show strength while she does? Because that is the real test. That is what determines whether she comes back with trust or withdraws with fear. When you remain composed, when you remain secure, you prove something rare. You prove that your love is not fragile. You prove that you can hold your own emotions without leaning on her to stabilize you. And that strength is magnetic. It pulls her back without force, without pressure, without fear. But don't confuse calmness with apathy. This isn't about pretending you don't care. This isn't about acting cold. It's about showing that your care is not dependent on constant validation, that your presence doesn't crumble when she needs a moment, that your emotions aren't dictated by her every step forward or backward. That kind of steadiness is what makes a woman feel safe to surrender more fully, because she sees that her love won't drown you, her distance won't destroy you, and her presence won't be taken for granted. And here is the truth that should hit like a hammer. If you can handle her pulling away, you will never handle the reality of love at its highest level, because love isn't linear. It's not constant sunshine. It's not endless reassurance. It's cycles of intensity and space, closeness and distance, fire and calm. And if you crumble during the retreat, you'll never survive the storm. If you can't stand still when she steps back, you'll never stand tall when life itself tests your bond. So burn this into your mind. Every time she pulls away, you are standing at a crossroads. You can panic, push, punish, and prove yourself weak. Or you can stay grounded, calm, unshaken, and prove yourself strong. One path kills her trust. The other path earns her devotion. Which one you choose will decide not only her love, but the respect that keeps it alive.